You took off my swimsuit because it's a mixed bath. You saw me naked, didn't you? During a company trip, I stayed at a spa hotel known for its mixed bath. When I went to the mixed bath deep in the mountains alone, it seemed there was a woman already there. Although the steam made it hard to see clearly, was that Ms. Johnson? Moreover, she appeared to be fainting from the heat. I hurriedly helped her up, but unfortunately, the strap of her swimsuit came undone. Can you come to the conference room? I need to talk to you. Later, I was summoned by Ms. Johnson. What awaited me there was an unexpected turn of events. My name is Alex, and I work diligently every day as the personal secretary to Ms. Emily Johnson, the CEO. Alex, please prepare the presentation materials for the Welfare Association next week. Yes, certainly. Amidst the high-pressure work environment, I support Ms. Johnson daily as she strives to do her best. She is currently a charismatic leader in the industry. After the previous CEO passed away, she became the young CEO of a company widely expanding in the welfare sector. However, even someone as charismatic as Ms. Johnson has worries similar to many other leaders. The heavy responsibility of protecting employees' livelihoods and making tough decisions to keep the company afloat. There are also matters she cannot share with other employees, leaving her feeling lonely at times. Compared to Ms. Johnson, I am just an ordinary office worker. Growing up as the middle child among 3 siblings, I disliked conflicts and would often mediate family arguments to keep the peace. But it wasn't because I was particularly perceptive or kind-hearted. It was simply because I wanted my mother to pay attention to me. Alex, listen to your sister. Alex, you're the older brother, so you need to be patient. In my mother's eyes, my siblings were always prioritized over me. So I was always made to endure things. You made the mess, didn't you? No, it's because you bumped into me. When my siblings fought, I would quickly step in to mediate. Stop it. Mom, they're fighting again. That's enough. You two, cut it out. During my parents' arguments, I would always intervene to calm things down. Can't you help out around the house on your day off? I never get a break. I'm tired from work, let me relax a bit. You're always relaxing. What did you say? Stop it, Dad. I would cry and stop my father from grabbing my mother. I'm sorry, Alex. We won't fight anymore. Really? Yes, for sure. I mediated to be seen as a good kid by my mother, more than my siblings. But in peaceful everyday life, I always felt irritated. Because my mother's attention was always on my siblings. So I was constantly on the lookout for the causes of conflicts. Really? You'll do it? Thank you. At school, I was reserved and didn't stand out, but I willingly took on tasks for classmates and did unpleasant jobs with a smile. Alex, you're so reliable. Can you distribute these handouts? Sure, Mr. Thompson. Because of my meticulous nature and ability to complete tasks well, I was highly trusted by my teachers. In my teens, I tried not to stand out too much, but I always made it a priority to be seen as a good person and earn everyone's trust. This way, people would say I was a nice, dependable guy, and everyone would acknowledge me. However, in college, there were people who saw through my true nature. Hey, you're such a people pleaser, always putting on a good face for everyone. Have you ever expressed your true feelings? You always just go along with others, don't you? I remember being shocked because his words struck at the core of who I was. Those words have been etched into my heart ever since. Alex, I'm thinking of having you work as our CEO's secretary. Take care of him. After graduating from college, I joined the company through Professor Jason's recommendation. Mr. Johnson, who was the chairman at the time, personally appointed me as the CEO's secretary. Emily Johnson is Mr. Johnson's only daughter, entrusted with running the company after him. Mr. Johnson and Professor Jason have been friends for a long time, and he recommended me based on what Professor Jason told him about my character, deeming me suitable to support Ms. Johnson. My name is Alex. I have been assigned as your secretary. Nice to meet you. Yes, nice to meet you. After a curt reply, Ms. Johnson quickly went out on a business call. Ms. Johnson is tough, so be prepared. Oh, okay. I understand. I was advised by a senior in the secretary department during the handover, and I felt a bit uneasy about Ms. Johnson back then. Next is Max Real Estate, right? Yes. I have already confirmed with them, so we can meet them immediately. As we got into the company car, Ms. Johnson checked the upcoming schedule from the back seat. We have 4 more stops today, right? Yes, the last one is at Liam Trading at 5 p.m. I see. It's been 3 years since I was assigned as her secretary. I've come to understand Ms. Johnson's personality and have become capable of handling her accordingly. I respect her for being proactive, but lately, she's been out of the office every day. I think she should delegate more to the department heads and others. But she insists on being involved in everything to have a comprehensive understanding of the company. Ms. Johnson, how about leaving the negotiations to the sales department and reducing the number of outside visits a bit? The way the top works influences the employees' approach to their jobs. Sitting at a desk all day isn't enough. I understand that, but if you keep this up, it will affect your health. It might be better to cut down on the outside visits. This was half sincere and half a formality. Mr. Johnson would listen to our opinions more, but Ms. Johnson doesn't at all. It's really problematic. As Michael, an executive, said, Ms. Johnson is diligent but doesn't listen to others' opinions, doing things her own way. This has made the company's management very one-sided under her leadership. One-sided doesn't necessarily mean selfish, though. Thanks, but I can't leave things to others. As her secretary, I try to care for Ms. Johnson's health as a person, but she takes on everything herself and doesn't try to reduce her workload. Oh no! My phone is out of battery. Alex, do you have a charger? Yes, here you go. Ms. Johnson's phone frequently runs out of battery. She always asks to charge it in the car, but she never takes the time to do it because she's always busy. It wouldn't be an issue if she charged it in advance, but she finds even such small tasks cumbersome. Ms. Johnson is either lazy or careless about her personal belongings. Unless I clean the CEO's office early in the morning, it's unfit for receiving anyone, including internal or external visitors. I don't know how you manage as an executive. I can only imagine the state of your home. At this rate, you won't get married or even have a boyfriend. Did you say something? No, nothing. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Anderson we're meeting next is a fan of spas, so I can use that to break the ice. That's not necessary. We're going to help with the launch of their care facility, so there's no need to humble ourselves. I know you like spas. But keep it out of work, please. Yes, understood. Most of our business partners are men. I understand her need to maintain a strong front as a woman in business, but I think there are times she could be a bit softer with people. Good job today. After visiting the remaining clients, we returned to the office a little after 6 p.m. Sorry for keeping you late. You can go home now. Will you still be here, Ms. Johnson? I have some things to review, so I'll stay a bit longer. After her rounds, Ms. Johnson always reviews the details of the day's meetings, analyzing how they can benefit our group and developing subsequent scenarios. Despite her hard work managing the group companies, she meticulously checks and considers every detail. She may be a bit of a dictator, but I really respect her for this. While others are out having fun or at social gatherings, Ms. Johnson is constantly studying and analyzing the market to determine the company's direction. This is why I believe the company is on the right path. Well, I'll take my leave then. Ms. Johnson sat at her desk and started reviewing the negotiation details on her tablet as soon as we got back. I hung her coat on a hanger from her chair. Feeling a bit guilty for leaving before her, I exited the CEO's office. Ms. Johnson, what time did you leave last night? Not long after you. I left pretty soon after you did. I see. The next day, it was clear that she hadn't left early. Her desk was a mess, indicating she was very tired and left without tidying up. Today we have Taylor Real Estate, right? I rescheduled that for the day after tomorrow. Today, we have to review the internal audit results and prepare for the financial reports. So there are no outside meetings. Okay, I see. I intentionally changed Ms. Johnson's schedule to desk work. I could see that her complexion was poor and her health was not in the best condition, likely due to the stress of being out on business every day. I determined that she needed some rest. Ms. Johnson, I'll handle the closing today, so you can leave early. Really? Alright, thank you. That day, without any client meetings, Ms. Johnson was able to focus on desk work. We've arrived, Ms. Johnson. Okay, let's go. 2 days later, we visited Taylor Real Estate to discuss a new project. Taylor Real Estate proposed building a care facility on a large plot of land in the suburbs. However, the infrastructure in that area was undeveloped. The location was quite far from town, and normally, we wouldn't even consider running a facility there. I want to provide a safe and comfortable home for the elderly here. I'm asking for your cooperation in building a facility that will make them happy. Yes, with the current shortage of properties for the elderly, we need to increase availability wherever possible. Let's consider it. I had a bad feeling about Mr. Taylor's proposal, so I investigated Taylor Real Estate after returning to the office. A few days later, I've decided to move forward with the elderly care facility. Wait a minute. As I mentioned earlier, we should decline this proposal. 2 days later, I reported my findings to Ms. Johnson. That company is just looking to offload worthless land by pitching this care facility idea. We're being used. I'm aware of that. But it's a good opportunity to expand our group's operations. We shouldn't miss it. Taylor Real Estate had accumulated losses exceeding $600,000 and was trying to offload their worthless land with a convincing pitch. Our accountant also said there's no benefit to purchasing that land, and I don't think the facility would be successful. We're not building homes for the elderly based on profit and loss calculations. This is to provide housing for those who have none. We will proceed no matter what anyone says. Ms. Johnson was adamant about starting the construction. Why are you pushing this so hard? This isn't like you, Ms. Johnson. Please, be more rational. Be quiet. Why should I take orders from you? You're just a secretary. Don't act so high and mighty about our business decisions. Ms. Johnson was clearly not her usual composed self. Prepare for tomorrow's executive meeting, she said, and then left the room. The next day, this issue was brought up in the meeting, and due to Ms. Johnson's insistence, it was decided to move forward with the project. Ms. Johnson, you missed checking this section. Also, did you review the opinion letter from David, the director of the elderly care facility? Oh, this document. I'll check it now. When did the opinion letter come in? A week ago. I reminded you about it the day before yesterday. Well, you're right. I'll review it today. Lately, Ms. Johnson had been so preoccupied with the real estate project that other areas were being neglected. The poor location and rising construction costs were making the project difficult. Ms. Johnson, leaning over her desk and nervously brushing hair out of her face, was deeply engrossed in the documents, clearly reaching her limit. Phew. By the afternoon, she had finished checking the documents and slumped back in her chair. Oh. Here, you look very tired. You should take a short break. Thank you. You're always so thoughtful. I quietly placed a slightly hot coffee, her favorite, on her desk, and she took a small sip. Maybe now's the time to talk. Alright, here goes. Ms. Johnson, the employees seem quite exhausted from the increased workload. How about taking them on a short trip to refresh? A trip? At such a busy time, that's a bit careless, isn't it? It's precisely because it's a busy time that we need a change of pace. Let me find a good place and plan it out, please? Do as you like. Thank you. Actually, I've been a spa enthusiast since college, and I love touring various spas around the country. From hidden spas in remote areas to spas in cave and those at the highest altitudes, I visit many on my weekends. I explained the benefits of a particular spa hotel, its therapeutic effects, and the delicious food, emphasizing how the trip would benefit the employees. Initially hesitant, Ms. Johnson eventually agreed, understanding it was for the employees' well-being. At least I managed to get Ms. Johnson to take a break, while it was necessary for the employees to refresh. The true purpose of the trip was to ensure Ms. Johnson got some rest. To distance her from work, I used the excuse of an employee trip. Today's trip is a token of appreciation from Ms. Johnson for everyone's hard work. Although it's a busy time, she approved this trip to show her gratitude. Enjoy and refresh yourselves. On the day of the trip, employees boarded several buses, excited and animated as we headed to the destination. This is the first company trip, isn't it? Yeah, even under the previous CEO, we never had one. The bus was lively with the excitement of the first company trip. Do you think the hotel has a mixed bath? James, I didn't know you were like that. That's so pervy. Even Ms. Johnson's expression was softer than usual as everyone laughed at James, the mood maker. I wish she could always look this relaxed. I watched the passing scenery of trees and buildings, lost in thought. After over 2 hours on the highway and some time on local roads, we entered a mountain path along a river. As the winding road revealed occasional glimpses of mountain ridges, the autumn foliage of red and yellow began to signal the change of season. Seeing the beautiful scenery, I felt a sense of lightness and escape from daily life. Nature is really amazing. As the employees admired the scenery, the excitement in the bus grew even more until we reached the hotel. This hotel was famous for its hidden spas, accessible by a 15-minute walk from the main building. We're free until dinner. Please don't be late. After announcing the dinner time, everyone headed to their assigned rooms. What are your plans until dinner? I'm going to explore the spas. I'm going to a spa I've been wanting to visit. After parting ways with my colleague from the secretarial department, I headed towards a spa which is located in Hidden Place. Walking along a side path into the mountain trail, I enjoyed the gentle breeze brushing my cheeks. The air is different here, this is what forest bathing feels like. As I walked along the soft mountain path, enjoying the natural scenery, a memory from my student days surfaced. You're such a people pleaser, always putting on a good face for everyone. Have you ever expressed your true feelings? You always just go along with others, don't you? When I'm at peace, these words often come back to me. Indeed, I had always sought approval from my parents and friends. I've lived my life pretending to be someone I'm not, driven by a desire for recognition. That's why, even after all these years, I couldn't express my true feelings, and the sense of dissatisfaction never went away. When I joined this company, I wanted Ms. Johnson to recognize me, to prove my worth. But now, it's different, I want to support her. Since meeting Ms. Johnson, I've started thinking for myself, not just going with the flow. As I continued walking, the hidden spa came into view. Entering the small changing hut, I saw a towel in a basket, indicating someone was already there. I undressed, took a towel, and cautiously entered the bath. Wait, a woman? The steam made it hard to see. But the other person seemed to be a woman. Quietly, I entered from the opposite side and moved to a corner. This feels great, the water temperature is perfect. I could stay here forever. Ha! That person looks like she's fainting. As I relaxed in the bath, I noticed the woman leaning against a rock, motionless. Is she asleep? Wait, is that Ms. Johnson? To my shock, the woman was Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, are you all right? Ms. Johnson? She didn't respond no matter how many times I called. As I approached, I saw her face was bright red. She's overheated. I immediately lifted Ms. Johnson out of the bath. Oh, she's heavy, what does she usually eat? Struggling, I carried her to the changing hut. Ms. Johnson was wearing a bikini, and it was a tie-up type. Unfortunately, my bad feeling came true. While carrying her, the top came undone and slipped off. Really? Now of all times? I can't fix this with my hands full. After laying her on a mat in the changing hut, I quickly tried to retie her swimsuit. All right. Phew, I need to tie the straps quickly before she wakes up and gets the wrong idea. I quickly fixed her swimsuit and tied the straps. Then, I checked her condition and used cold water to cool her down. I hope she's okay. After a while, Ms. Johnson began to regain consciousness. Ah. Alex? I'm glad you're awake. After she fully regained consciousness and rested a bit, we slowly walked back to the hotel. On the way, Ms. Johnson's pace slowed, so we took a break on a flat rock nearby. Ms. Johnson, how did you find that place? It turned out she had been stressed and after hearing my description of the spa, decided to visit for some relaxation. It's a nice place. Yes, it's one of my top 3 favorites. The water is soft and great for relieving fatigue. As I talked, I realized I was going on and on about spas. You really can't stop talking about spas, can you? Oh, I'm sorry. I got carried away. Hey, did you see me naked earlier? What are you talking about? Of course not. The straps were tied differently. And you had drool coming out of your mouth, Alex. So that's the kind of guy you are. What? Women can tell even how the straps are tied? Well, yes, the straps came undone when I was carrying you, so I tied them back. And I wasn't drooling. It must have been the water. Haha, no need to deny it so loudly. Well, you did help me. Alex, this trip was planned for my rest, wasn't it? Thank you. Wait, did she know that? She wasn't that enthusiastic at first. Alex, you're worried about Taylor Real Estate, right? I know I'm being headstrong. But I don't want to miss the opportunity to expand my father's business. I understand. Ever since Mr. Johnson passed away last year, you've been working tirelessly to expand the business. But I'm worried about your health. Ms. Johnson. For the first time, it felt like I was having an honest conversation with her. In fact, it might have been the first time I'd ever expressed my true feelings to anyone. I always appreciate how you support me behind the scenes, Alex. You handle things I don't notice and build solid relationships with our partners. We talked for a while about our inner thoughts. I shared the pressure and loneliness Ms. Johnson felt, and she understood my sense of unfulfillment. We seemed to build a new level of mutual trust. We both have our struggles. I understand, Alex. I'll listen to your opinions more. It's getting cold. We should head back. In the orange glow of the setting sun, with a gentle breeze blowing, we made our way down the mountain path. 3 days after the trip, Ms. Johnson called me to the conference room. The trip was a good idea. Everyone seems refreshed. Yes, their mindset has improved, and they're more focused on their work than before. Not only the employees but Ms. Johnson as well seemed more composed and was giving clear instructions again. By the way, how did my skin feel? It was smooth, wasn't it? Oh, well, honestly, I was more focused on the weight in my numb arms, so I don't remember much. Wait, you mean I was that heavy? Sorry for numbing your arms like that. Oh, no, I didn't mean you specifically, it was just that carrying you up the mountain path was tiring, haha. Under her sharp gaze, I quickly returned to my work. That afternoon, still feeling her watchful eyes on me, I was organizing financial documents when suddenly an employee burst into the conference room. Looking alarmed. Ms. Johnson, there's a fire at Robe Life, the elderly care facility. What? Robe Life was the oldest facility in our group. I'm heading there immediately. Alex, arrange the car. Certainly. Ms. Johnson and I hurried to the car and headed to the site. This is... Upon arrival, Ms. Johnson stood in shock at the scene. Several fire trucks and ambulances were lined up with their lights flashing. Flames and black smoke were rising from the facility, with firefighters working desperately to extinguish the fire. Hours later, the fire was finally put out, but the wooden building was completely destroyed. Fortunately, thanks to the staff's quick response, all the residents were safely evacuated. A few days later, it was determined that the fire was caused by an electrical short circuit due to aging equipment. That's why I submitted a request for improvements. David's report had stated that the entire facility was aging and needed to be rebuilt, including the building itself. The report specifically highlighted the severe deterioration of the wiring, emphasizing that its replacement was urgently needed. If I had approved the upgrades sooner, this wouldn't have happened. Ms. Johnson had been so focused on Taylor Real Estate that she had postponed this report. The residents are being transferred to affiliated facilities, and the staff will also be temporarily relocated. Thank you. Please ensure we address the residents with utmost sincerity. Understood. Ms. Johnson personally visited the families of the residents to apologize. How could this happen? We trusted you with our parents' safety. Why wasn't the equipment properly maintained? My mother needs care. Do something. I'm truly sorry. Although the residents were safe, many had lost cherished mementos and suffered emotional trauma, with some even needing hospitalization. The residents' losses were immense. How can Ms. Johnson not take responsibility for this disaster? She knew about the aging equipment and delayed addressing it. Yeah, she's supposed to be some charismatic CEO, but what a letdown. The news of Ms. Johnson's delayed response spread, and criticism of her grew even harsher. There were even calls within the industry for her to step down. Additionally, the real estate project with Taylor Real Estate had to be abandoned, leading to contract termination. The associated penalties also weighed heavily on the company, forcing Ms. Johnson into a difficult financial situation. Is Ms. Johnson still here? One day, I remembered something I had forgotten and headed back to the office. When I arrived, I noticed the light in the CEO's office was still on. Excuse me. Ms. Johnson. Oh, you're still here? Entering the office, I saw Ms. Johnson slumped on the sofa, raising her head. She looked at me with vacant eyes and a half-open mouth. Are you all right? I can't restore this company on my own anymore. I'll use the house and assets my father left to cover the damages and then leave. Alex. Thank you for everything. It seemed Ms. Johnson was planning to resign to take responsibility. But wasn't it your dream to expand the company you inherited from your father? Don't give up yet. No, it's too late. As long as I'm here, the bad reputation won't go away. It's better if I leave. Ms. Johnson, what are you talking about? Leaving now would be a defeat. I'll support you, so let's keep going. When I shouted this, Ms. Johnson looked at me in surprise. It's okay. If you stay with me, you'll also get a bad reputation. One villain is enough. You should follow the next CEO. I have no intention of following anyone else. I am your secretary and no one else's. Alex. Standing before Ms. Johnson, I looked at her intently and spoke earnestly. What are you saying? A secretary can serve anyone, don't tie yourself to me. I've always lived suppressing myself to avoid making enemies. But now it's different. I'm willing to face the world if it means protecting you. Let's do our best together. You, idiot, trying to act cool. In the quiet of the night, the red lights on the rooftop of nearby buildings blinked softly as Ms. Johnson sobbed in the CEO's office. Alex, where is Ms. Johnson? She's on her way here. 2 years after the facility burned down, a new elderly care facility had been built on the site, and today was the inauguration ceremony. Ms. Johnson had sold her longtime home and used the money and other assets to compensate the displaced residents and pay the penalty to Taylor Real Estate. Ms. Johnson has always helped our company, so we're happy to support her. Thank you. Because Ms. Johnson had frequently visited affiliated companies and built strong relationships. Many of them agreed to finance the new facility's construction. You don't need to visit so often. We understand your sincerity. No, we will continue to support you at least until the new facility is completed. Ms. Johnson personally visited the residents and their families multiple times, offering sincere apologies and supports. When she couldn't, I visited on her behalf to check on any needs or concerns. Thanks to these efforts, the residents and their families accepted Ms. Johnson's apologies and agreed to move into the new facility. Publicly, there were still calls for her resignation, but there was also sympathy for her actions of selling her home and assets for compensation. Reducing the criticism. I have something important to tell everyone. A few weeks after the facility burned down, Ms. Johnson spoke directly to the employees at the office. She admitted her mistakes, failing to listen to others, focusing solely on expanding the company, and lacking crisis management, and apologized. It's rare for a CEO to acknowledge their mistakes and apologize to their employees. But Ms. Johnson did just that. Let's work hard again. Yes, if we all cooperate, we can do it. Everyone, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you all. Ms. Johnson appreciated deeply, and the office erupted into applause, smiles spreading throughout the room. Looks like Ms. Johnson will be able to continue here after all. Alex, I heard you saved Ms. Johnson. That's amazing. As I was about to get to work, a few female colleagues caught me. I didn't do anything that grand. I think Ms. Johnson decided to change herself. Aha, Ms. Johnson told us. She said you changed her heart and saved her. We heard it during a girls' night out. Everyone knows. With that, the women returned to the office, smiling mischievously. So that's why I've been getting those weird looks from the ladies lately. When my hard work paid off, Ms. Johnson regained her composure and returned to being the calm leader she once was. And the unfulfilled feelings I had been harboring began to fade. "Oh, Ms. Johnson has arrived." I turned to see her walking toward us with a determined look. "It's finished." "Yes." Ms. Johnson's face lit up as she looked at the new facility. "Alex, starting tomorrow, I want you to oversee the entire group, including this facility." "What? Oversee the group? You're not someone who should remain a secretary. You're better suited to leading on the ground." "Anne?" Ms. Johnson leaned in close and whispered in my ear. "I didn't intend to cry in front of you that day, but your words touched me so deeply that I couldn't help it." I looked at her in surprise. "When you're by my side, I can't stay calm. So I'd like to watch you from a bit of a distance." She then gazed up at the new facility and softly murmured, "Thank you for being there for me." As I stood beside Ms. Johnson, watching her face glow with pride, I silently vowed, "I will protect this company with all my strength, for you." And together, we looked up at the new facility, ready for what the future would bring.